What's going on, everybody? I am here to do a review of The Little Mermaid. Now, I know what you're saying, Torian, I can't believe you actually went and saw that. Well, I ended up getting a pass, and I wasn't about to let a free pass go to waste, so I ended up going to see it because I'm going to be honest, I didn't even have any intentions on seeing it until maybe it landed on Disney Plus, which was like 45 days from now. But I'm going to be quite honest with y'all. This is probably one of Disney's best live action remakes. And a lot of the live action remakes get a lot of flack because, people don't want to do a remake of something, or they don't want to see a remake of something. It's like, why can't you just go ahead and do something original? And I completely understand exactly what all of y'all mean when you say that, but I'm going to be completely and unbiasedly honest. This is one of their better remakes, even with the stuff that they pulled from the original movie and the stuff that they added in for a new updated modern version and take of this film. I feel like I don't even have to give a synopsis of the movie because if you've seen the original movie, you pretty much will get how this movie goes. So I'm going to just really go into the performances. First off, I have to tip my hat off to Halle Bailey for absolutely knocking this role of Ariel out of the park. She took the part and she made it her own. One thing I like to do when it comes to movies before I actually go and see them is I like to watch cast interviews to get inside the mind of how the actors are, what their personalities are like, what it was like for them to prepare for this role. I remember her saying that, she auditioned for this part, not thinking she was actually going to get it because, of course, she's being a black woman and Ariel has, of course, been animated wise a white female character, and she didn't think she was going to get the part. And I remember when she first got casted for this part, and I initially said, she's perfect. At the time, a lot of people did not know who she was, with her sister, Chloe and Halle, as a duo singing songs and whatnot. But I had heard her voice and I said, that's perfect casting. And when you think of the character of Ariel, she's really known for her voice, a very angelic sounding voice. She's basically a siren. That's basically her ability as a mermaid, is that she has the ability to, kind of grab people's attention with her voice. And that's really what it's about. And I said, she has the perfect Disney princess voice. She has one of those old school sounding tones. Like, she has one of those voices that a lot of our parents probably heard growing up that we haven't heard in a very long time. And that goes for her and her sister. I would be disappointed if I ever heard them singing with autotune because they absolutely do not need it. And it's such a shame because this young woman got so much hate, so much unnecessary hate when she first got casted for this part back in 2019. When I first heard she was casted, I was very happy for her, but I knew what was about to happen because, it's the same song and dance. I knew a lot of people was going to be upset because, she's a black woman playing a character that was, white in the original animated film. Of course, they was going to call it woke this, woke that. And I called all of that before, before they started to really go in. Then it went down a little bit. Then they dropped that first teaser last year and they mass disliked it. When they dropped the official trailer back in March, they mass disliked that. Like, they just found any way to hate on this movie because of her being casted in this role. But as time started to go forward and they started to drop clips and promos and her singing, you couldn't hate anymore. No, at that point, haters, it didn't matter what they thought. All that matters is that she was able to deliver, and she did, even down to her acting ability in this movie, because it's like, okay, we know she has the singing chops and we don't have to worry about that. We know the girl can sang, S-A-N-G, because that's exactly what she does. But can she act? I will have to say that she definitely can, especially the part where Ariel loses her voice, because now she doesn't use her voice anymore to sing or to talk, but now she has to do facial expressions. You have to understand how she is without being able to talk and how she's able to convey a message or a statement without having to use her voice to talk. So I think she was able to pull that off as well. And before I move on to the next person, if they ever make a Janet Jackson biopic, please cast this woman. If y'all see this movie and see how she smiles and how she wears her hair in some of the scenes, you cannot tell me that this woman does not look like a young Janet Jackson. Like, she really does. And she would be perfect for the role because, excuse me, because she can sing and she can dance. Now, we all know Janet is not the strongest singer. She can hold a tune and a tone. She can hold a note. But that would be easy for Halle because we know Halle can blow the roof off. It would be nothing for her to bring her voice down to the level of Janet, and she already has the looks. She already has the shape. She's young. If they ever make a movie about Janet, just Janet, a biopic about her, look no further than Halle Bailey. I am like practically like putting out a call for any studio who was watching, who may be coming across this video. If they make a movie about Janet Jackson, cast Halle Bailey in this role. The next character I wanted to talk about is Ursula. That was another character, another actress, played by Melissa McCarthy, that a lot of people were worried about casting her because, as you know, Melissa McCarthy comes from a comedic background. She's always known to do comedy, whether it's a television show or a movie. You rarely ever, if ever, seen her do a dramatic role. And while this role isn't really dramatic, it's scary dramatic at the same time. They even let her keep some of her comedic essence with the Ursula character in there so she could feel a little bit more comfortable. And I have to say, she really did a very good job playing Ursula, because Ursula is another one of those top tier villains in Disney. Like, she's up there with Scar, Frollo, who else? It's so many. She's like, that character is right up there. And at first people were saying, oh, why didn't they cast Queen Latifah? They're saying that because Queen Latifah played her in the live television version of it. So I was like, they're not going to cast Queen Latifah. She's already played that role. Let someone else do it. And when they said Melissa McCarthy, I'm going to be honest, I was kind of on the fence about it. I was like, I don't know. I have to see. But then when I saw that first trailer and heard her laugh and heard her do the voice, and after seeing this movie, I said that was very good casting. She really did a good job of playing Ursula. She brought scary. She brought the dramatic. She brought the essence. She even brought a little comedy, here and there. But to the point where she was even in some parts scary. It was like, but that's the character that Ursula is supposed to be. Now, I want to just kind of knock all these characters out in just one fell swoop. And that's the characters of Flounder, Scuttle, and Sebastian. Because these are all characters that are voiceover characters. These aren't like real actors playing these characters. They're just doing the voices. Let me start with, I'll say, Flounder. A lot of people were worried about the look of Flounder because in the original, Flounder is like a bigger yellow and blue fish. But in this one, he's like a smaller looking fish. I said, you got to understand, this is a live action remake. So they're not going to have him look just like how he did in the animated version, because it would look kind of silly. That's the same gripe that a lot of people had with The Lion King, with why they look like real lions. I said, it's a live action. They're not going to have them look like the animated, because then if they did that, then people would say, oh, that's too much CGI. And then people would find something else to complain about. So I understand why they went that route. So I'm glad, that they did that. That was one of the bigger issues that people had with the Flounder character, was how he looked. The actor they got him to play Flounder actually sounded almost exactly like the actor, or the voice actor who did the original Flounder. Like, they almost sound exactly the same. Then you had Scuttle, played by Awkwafina. Y'all know how I feel about Awkwafina, or a lot of us feel about that character, that actress. But a lot of people were worried about that because originally Scuttle was not, they switched the gender, because Scuttle in the original was voiced by a male, and the character itself design is different, because I forgot what kind of creature Scuttle is. It's in the bird family. It almost looks like a bird mixed with a duck. I know a duck is I don't know. Someone can let me know. I forgot what it is, but it's a whole different kind of creature, but it's still in the bird family. And even though I don't care for Awkwafina like that, I actually did like her portrayal as the voice of Scuttle in this one. She was definitely one of the comedic reliefs of the movie for sure. And then you have Sebastian, another character that a lot of people were like, ugh. Now this is the one a lot of people did not like the design of. Was like, why does like Sebastian look like that? Again, it's a live action remake. Sebastian, as we all know, is a crab, a Jamaican crab at that. And I have to be honest with you, I actually really did like the portrayal of Sebastian, although I will say that the accent was a little bit shaky because they got an actor who I believe is not of Jamaican descent. This is one of the times where I kind of wish that they did get an actor of Jamaican descent, much like they did with the original actor who did the voice of Sebastian, who I believe is Jamaican, to actually portray that character, because sometimes the voice kind of went in and out, and you'll hear it a little bit if you do go and watch the movie. But even then, his character and the Scuttle character definitely got the most laughs out of everybody that was in the audience. Definitely, for sure. Then you had the character of Prince Eric. Now, this is a little bit different because in the original, they weren't from London, but in this one, they had an accent. They were like from London. You can hear it in the accent. Originally, they sounded more American. One issue that I had with the Eric character is they gave him a song. I don't know if he had a song in the original one because it escapes me. But in his song, it's almost like the music was kind of drowning out his voice when he was singing, to the point where you couldn't really make out the lyrics of the song in which he was singing, to the point where it sounded kind of jumbled together. It's almost like if you wanted to know the lyrics to the song, you would have to go and look up the lyric sheet to follow along. It wasn't crisp and clear like you heard with the other songs in the movie, where it's very clear that it was, that it was there. Speaking of, let me not to get too far ahead. Then you had King Triton was definitely, good in this role, definitely dominating a father. He has a bunch of daughters that represents the different seas. I believe it's 7 of them. And, what more can you really say about his character? He just wants to make sure that he takes care of his family, that they don't go to the surface because of what happened to their mother and all different things, like that. I think that pretty much knocks out like the main core cast. Now, let me talk about the songs. When Halle Bailey, and this is more the reaction of the audience. When Halle Bailey sung Part of Your World, which we all know is the main primary theme song for this movie, whenever you hear Part of Your World, you automatically think of The Little Mermaid. One of the best Disney songs probably ever made and written. When she sang that song, by the end of that song, it was, I kid you not, it was somebody in the audience that said, "Woo, you better sing that song." Like literally, now that was one of us. I'm gonna be honest, the audience was majority black. It was a lot of black families, fathers and mothers bringing their daughters. It was even some people that came, like, believe it or not, it was some grown men that came in there by themselves, or, whatever, that came and saw this movie. So don't think that just because it said The Little Mermaid in the title, that it wasn't, it wasn't grown men. It was grown men in there actually sitting there and watching, this movie. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna be honest, my mother actually wanted to go see this movie. So I said, you know what? I got an extra pass. Let's go. She enjoyed it. So this was kind of like a mother-son type of thing. And she really did enjoy this movie. I think they added some new songs in there. That you had the usual ones: Part of Your World, Under the Sea, Kiss the Girl. Those are the primary songs that you think of when it comes to this film. The CGI in this movie was very, very, very well done, especially when it came to the facial thing, because a lot of people worry whenever it comes to live action and movies that involve water or underwater sequences of how it's going to look. It looked so real. Even how the faces look. They look like how I'm looking at you right now. Just they put it's almost like they kind of put a filter. I don't know exactly how they were able to do it. Whoever the editor was, kudos to them. The editor gets all the props for them underwater sequences, which was very well done. Even when they started to get on land and started to do the on land sequences, of course, that was probably a little bit more easier to do and to film. It was even a scene in there where they did, it was like some dance sequence that they did, and they used some like Caribbean calypso type music, which I did not expect them to do, especially since this movie is really supposed to be based off of like Caribbean lore, so to speak, that wasn't really present in the original movie, especially considering, Sebastian is a crab from Jamaica. It was a lot of Caribbean references in this movie. If you go and watch the movie, you'll actually see it for yourself. Of course, a person who's from the Caribbean will be able to identify it even more easier, and they'll be able to critique it a little bit better than I could. But from what I saw, it was a lot of Caribbean references in this movie. But all in all, again, this is probably one of the better Disney live action remakes that I've seen. As a matter of fact, when this movie was over, this was the first time that I saw a movie that got a massive applause from the audience after the movie was over. You had families and children, little girls in there clapping and hooping and hollering after this movie. After the screen went black, all you heard was a bunch of claps and yells and screams and cheers. And I think it's also because, like I said, going back to the original point about Halle Bailey, how much unnecessary hate she received in this role because she's black. And I think a lot of people who don't, like I said, don't really watch Disney movies like that are going to see this out of spite to throw it back into the faces of the people. Well, I'm going to say this right now. If you're going to see this out of spite, you're probably going to end up enjoying this movie because it, like I said, it was really, really well done. I really actually I can't believe I'm saying it. I actually enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. I probably wouldn't go see it again, but you know, if it come on Disney Plus, it is what it is. But yeah, that is my review for the live action remake of The Little Mermaid. Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments, and I will talk to you all in the next one.